All right, partners, we got a Fallen Heroes trailer. Let's go ahead and check this out and see what they got for us. Oh, also, let me make sure we have 1080p turned on here. Prior to this trailer dropping, I was in the middle of watching the Lakers and OKC game. Okay, we're starting off with a fallen male Byleth, looking like the exact opposite of the female fallen Byleth, where she was accompanied by Sothis. So he's going to be also accompanied by Sothis, looking very menacing there. I like how the fallen Byleths, their aura looks like slimy for some reason. I don't know what the deal is with that, but okay. So this Byleth is going to be a green tome infantry type. This is for, oh, by the way, it's from 3 Hopes specifically. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. Okay. All right, some more 3 Hopes representation. They didn't forget about it. So his stat line here, we got 40 HP. He's taking drops to attack, speed, and res from somewhere. Athos has res ploy, I think. He has times pulse ploy or something like that. I don't know, whatever. We'll see his unmitigated stats later when we get the data mines. So 55 attack, 46 speed, 31 defense, 22 res. Obviously, that's not accurate. And it looks like he has the 3 range style as well. Oh, boy. Sothis' Wrath, 14 might, 2 range, -1 special trigger. At start of turn and after unit acts, if Kanto triggers, then after Kanto. Inflicts Panic, Speed Shackle, and Res Shackle on the closest foes and any foes in 2 spaces of those foes through the next actions. Grants all stats up 15 to unit. The unit deals plus 25 damage, excluding on AoEs. Reduce damage from foes' attacks by 15, excluding AoEs. And neutralize effects that guarantee foes' follow-ups and prevent units' follow-ups. And then he has the following style, Sothis' Wrath style. Unit can attack foes 3 spaces away. Can't attack foes 2 spaces away. Unit deals plus 10 damage during combat. Can't move through spaces within 3 spaces of a foe that has Bulwark. Doesn't apply if unit has pass. And then unit suffers a counterattack if any of the following conditions are met. Foe is armored with a range of 2. Or foe has this encounter or a close counter. And then after combat, movement effects do not occur. Skill effects range treated as 2. This style can only be used once per turn. Alright, basically the same litigation that we see there at the end of every style, pretty much. That extends your range. But yeah, it's a 3 range style with plus 10 damage, so the same one as Harmonic Celica. And then we have Sirius Pulse, brand new special here, 5 hit cooldown. When special triggers, boost damage by unit speed. At the start of turn, inflicts speed and res -7, and share spoils plus on the closest foes and foes in 2 spaces. That's pretty interesting, to just get that on your special. Inflicts penalty on foes' attack speed, defense, and res equal to the highest penalty on each stat between target and foes in 2 spaces of target. Reduce damage from foes' first attack by X%. If unit initiates or during unit's first combat initiated by the foe, X is 80, otherwise X is 40. So essentially that's 80% non-pierceable DR. And then it's on their first attack and brave attack. And then reduce damage from foes' follow-up attack by 40% during combat. And also, if decreasing the speed difference necessary to make a follow-up by 10 would allow unit to trigger a follow-up, then you get Potent 100. Dude, when did specials turn into passives? Like, this is not a special anymore. This is just essentially a passive with special damage. What is going on, man? Alright, then he's got attack and speed Aria. He has a new B skill, Demonic Force. Inflicts speed and res -4 on the foe. Neutralize unit's penalties. Unit deals damage equal to unit's max special cooldown count value times 5. Reduce damage from foes' attacks by unit's max special cooldown count value times 3. And grant special cooldown count -1 to unit before unit's first attack. Huh. So max special cooldown count value times 5. That would be 25. And then 15 DR and 25 points of true damage, and you're still getting the Rally Spectrum Light before your attack. Interesting B skill. And then he has dual support 4, again, from Emblem Lucina was the one that introduced that. It's not as good as Instruct, though, but sure. So here he is up against Burger King, legendary Burger King. So an actual relevant matchup for once in this trailer. So he's got so much DR on his special. Burger King, even with reflex, is not doing anything here. Okay, he does 22. He does a big chunk of damage there. But, yeah, we get the extra attack, and then here comes the potent attack, and that should be do-si-do for Burger King. Yeah, so GG. All right, and there are his unmitigated stats. So we got 61 attack, 48 speed, 31 defense, and 28 res. I like his sprite there. He's holding a fireball. Oh, we have Fallen Ivy. Oh, okay. Yeah, if you guys remember, when we first encounter Ivy in Engage, she is kind of, not really, I don't know if I want to say she's brainwashed, but she's not exactly on our side. She's kind of evil at first. And then after we defeat her a couple of times, then she turns around. But I didn't expect to see Ivy on a Fallen Heroes banner. So she's going to be a colorless tome flyer type. All right, let's take a look at her kit here. So a lot of mitigated stats there. Maybe if we wait a little bit later, we'll see what her stats are normally, but we'll just take a look here just in case. So 40 HP, 70 attack, 36 speed, 30 defense, 55 res. Absolutely, she's gaining bonuses to attack and res that are visible from her A skill, I would imagine. And in true Ivy fashion, she can just warp wherever the hell she wants. So Fell Tome, 14 might, 2 range, enables Kanto Distant with a max of 3 and a min of 1. -1 special trigger. Disables foes' effects that calculate damage using the lower of foes, using the lower of foes' defense or res. So she neutralizes adaptive damage. For unit and allies in 3 rows of 3 columns centered on unit, grants all stats up X. For unit, X is 15. For the allies, X is 5. Neutralizes penalties and grants special cooldown count -1 before each of their attacks during combat, including when they attack twice or perform a follow-up. So even brave attacks get the cooldown there. Interesting. Yeah, that's one of the things that the Winter Ivy does, but here we're giving it to allies as a drive buff. So that's interesting. And then we have unit deals plus 25 damage, reduce damage from foes' attacks by 15, and neutralize effects that inflict guard on unit, and then recover 7 HP after combat. Sure. All right, then we have Logic there. Logic making a return. So, unique A skill, Final Say. Grants all stats up 9 visible. Unit can move through foes' spaces. Unit can move to a space within 2 spaces of any ally within 2 spaces or any ally within 5 spaces that has entered combat or used an assist skill during that current turn. Okay, so she's a god at Gale Forcing. Going to be really good in Aether Raid's offense with that. And then at the start of player phase or enemy phase, grants Creation Pulse and Anathema to unit and allies in 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. If unit's res is better than the foe's res, or if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, then you get Brave Attacking. And then unit deals damage during combat equal to the number of times unit has attacked in the current combat times 5, excluding AoEs, including the current attack. So she has this too. This is also from the Winter Ivy, where she gets that true damage ramp effect based on how many hits she lands. Interesting. And then she has Miracle again too. Wow. Yeah, if unit's HP is over 1 and foe would reduce HP to 0, then you survive with 1 HP. And then she has Attack Res Detect Aerial, and then Attacks Res Crux Ploy. So another one of these Crux Ploy skills. I didn't see if she had Potent anywhere. I don't think she has Potent naturally. Obviously, that would go crazy on this unit. The more attacks that she lands, the stronger she gets. So if you can get Potent support on her, that would definitely help out. Awesome attack animation too, by the way. All right, Bully and Gatekeeper, though. Like this Winter Gatekeeper, he's not exactly an unbreakable wall, so to speak. But I guess he is one of the more recent armor options, so maybe a little bit more relevant of a showcase here. All right, then there are her unmitigated stats. So 72 attack, 38 speed, 32 defense, 57 res. Just subtract 9 from all of that. I guess I'll do it. 61 attack, 29 speed, 23 defense, and then 46 res. Or 48 res, rather. I don't know. My math was probably off looking back at that. But whatever. All right, and then, of course, we have a rearmed hero here. Oh, is that what's her face? Sarah? No, who is Canis? I feel like this was one of the bosses in Jugdral. The name Canis is not ringing a bell, but the art is actually kind of familiar. I believe this character was called Elf, actually. I think so. If this is not Sarah, I think that's Elf. Huh. Somebody in the comments will back me up on this. The name Canis doesn't ring a bell to me. Okay, so 37 HP, 65 attack, 41 speed with mitigation, 12 defense, and 48 res, both also with mitigation. And then she has a style here. Oh, she has the Lin style. Oh, God. So she can hit from 6 spaces away. Arcane 12's Writ. That's actually a fire name for a weapon. So 14 might, 2 range, -1 special trigger at the start of turn and after unit acts. Inflicts speed and res -7, sabotage, speed shackle, and res shackle on the closest foes and any foes in 2 spaces. And then grants all stats of 15. Unit deals plus 25 damage. Reduce damage from foes' attacks by 15. And reduce the percentage of foes' non-special DR by half. It's okay. She's colorless, right? So, like, there's not many units to give that to. Oh, no, she's red, actually. Okay, red is interesting. Yeah, because there are a lot more red tomes available that you may want to give that to. Okay, then she has Comet, and then she has attack speed Aria. And then we have Speed and Res Unrest, another one of these Unrest skills. And then 11th Deadlord, so that's going to be her unique C skill. If a skill compares units res to foes or allies res, treats units res as if granted +5. Disables foes' effects that calculate damage using the lower of foes' defense or res. At start of player phase or enemy phase, grants attack and res up 6, anathema, and neutralize foes' bonuses during combat to unit and allies in 3 spaces. And then grants a bonus to all of unit stats equal to the number of allies on the map with anathema active, including unit times 4 with a max of 12. Reduce damage from foes' attacks by 7, and neutralize effects that inflict guard. That's pretty good. And then also she has Berserk style. So unit can attack foes within 5 spaces of unit and 3 rows of 3 columns, centered on unit regardless of unit's range. Damage dealt by unit attacks and damage from foes' attacks during that combat are reduced to 0. I love how they didn't want to do damage on, not just this one, but Sombrons as well. Like, what's the deal with that? Is Emblem Lin the only one who gets to hit? And she gets 6 range on her style, too, and she gets to do damage. Why is everybody else that's getting this crazy range on their style not able to do any damage? All right, savior effects will not trigger. Rooker take at least 1 damage. So after combat, inflicts Feud and Discord on the foe through its next action and grants another action to unit. Actually, that's pretty good. Yeah, so she can just pop this style. She can inflict Feud, which is very good right now because of all the drive buffs going on. And then after that, she can just move again. So it's pretty good. And then unit suffers a counterattack if any of the following conditions are met. But does that really matter when everyone's doing 0 damage in this combat anyway? And then unit can't move or attack structures after combat movement effects don't occur. Unit's AoE specials can't be triggered, and remaining movement granted from Kanto is treated as 0. Skill effect range is treated as 2. Style can only be used once per turn. Yeah, it's pretty crazy C skill, though. Yeah, very, very interesting developments here. So here we are in combat against Harmonic Hector. They're really going all out with these showcases, huh? They're trying to show off relevant units. And then here are her stats. We just take out 6 from attack and res here. So 37 HP and then 59 attack, 48 speed, 14 defense, and then 49 res. Okay. All right, now she's actually going to attack, and then, yeah, Hector is going to come in to save, but he's just going to get shattered here by Comet. Wow. I got to say, they are impressing me here with the showcases they're showing off. They're actually trying to be relevant here. It's not like we're looking at fraud showcases. Oh, what? No. Fallen Tibarn? What? Dog. You want to talk about fire? That is fire. Okay, a blue beast flying Tibarn. Man, that I did not expect to see a fallen Tibarn. Well, you have my attention. Okay, let's see what he's got. So, stat line here, we got 43 HP. I'm going to guess he's getting plus... He's an arcane hero as well? What? I wasn't expecting that. Okay. So, anyways, 71 attack, but probably minus 6. So, let's say 65? Yeah, 65 attack, 43 speed, 48 defense, 18 res. Okay, so he can move, and then he can move again. He has the Brave Felix effect. And then he's going... Okay, this one's more of a fraud showcase. Why is he fighting Marnie? So, Arcane Fury Bite, 14 might, 1 range, -1 special trigger. For foes in 3 rows of 3 columns center on unit. Inflicts all stats -5, neutralize foes' bonuses, and foe suffers +10 damage from attacks. Alright, not a bad drive buff there, just getting exposure for free. Grants all stats of 10 to unit. Unit deals +25 damage, excluding on AoEs. Reduce damage from foes' attacks by 15. Reduce damage from foes' special by another 15, and reduce percentage of foes' non-special DR by half. And then at the start of turn, if unit is adjacent to only beasts or dragons or not adjacent to anybody, then unit transforms. And then you get +2 attack and +1 movement. So flyer, beast, arcane weapon there, basically. There's not too many flying beast units you would want to be able to give this to. Just because there's a big shortage of beast units in general. Especially free-to-play ones that you would replace the weapon of. And then he's got this new special here, Sturdy Laguz, 5-hit cooldown. When special triggers, boost damage by unit's defense, reduce damage from foe's first attack by 40% during combat, first attack and brave attack, and then if unit is transformed, grant special cooldown charge +1 per attack, and inflicts guard on the foe per attack. Yeah, that's probably going to be inheritable. Going to be awkward giving a skill called Laguz to a non-Laguz beast. All right, then he's got Attack and Defense Excel, and then Chaos Torrent. So, new beast skill. Enables Kanto Distant +1 with a max of 4. Removes the condition to transform if defending an Aether Raids at the start of enemy turn 1. If unit can transform, then unit transforms. At the start of turn and after unit acts. Inflicts Attack and Defense -7, Frozen, and Sabotage on the closest foes and any foes in 2 spaces. Inflicts attack, speed, and defense -5 on the foe. Deals damage equal to 20% of unit's defense. And reduce damage from foes' attacks by 20% of unit's defense during combat. And if unit has not used or been the target of an assist skill during the current turn, grants another action to unit and inflicts isolation on unit and pair-up cohort through the next action in the following cases. A, unit initiated combat, or B, unit took action without entering combat. Takes priority over Kanto once per turn, with A and B counted separately, and does not trigger when affected by effects of Foresight Snare or traps in Aether Raids. Okay, that's a lame caveat. Would have been so cool if he could just bypass Foresight Snare and traps, but nah, otherwise, for the most part, it is the same as Brave Felix's B skill. Well, more so the new updated version of that we've been seeing on like Baby Felix and T Felix. And then he has Dark Beast Agility in the C slot. So, inflicts attack, speed, and defense -4 on the foe. Disables skills of all foes excluding the foe in combat. So you got your feud right there, which is good. Unit deals +5 damage, excluding on AoEs, and reduced damage from foes' first attack by 5. First attack and brave attack. And also, if unit speed is better than the foe's speed, then you get no follow-up. Yeah, seems like a pretty good C skill for your beast types. Just getting the feud right there is really relevant right now. So, yeah, it seems like an interesting unit here. Enemies freeze at the sight of him. Bro, I froze at the sight of him. Yeah, and we're bullying Marnie. I don't know why, but okay. they were doing good with the showcases up until this point. Yeah, so then he can move again. He's going against Ectordeer this time. Okay, this one's a little bit more relevant. Yeah, so he's going to beat Ectordeer. That's kind of good. Like, he is still more commonly seen as a armored unit option. He wasn't really supported as good as he could be there, but then again, Tibarn's got feud anyway, so additional support wouldn't have mattered that much. And then they're not showing off the GHP there, so I don't know who it is. And we should be able to get 2 sparks on this banner, considering there's 2 rearmed heroes. Yeah, we are able to spark up to 2 times, so is this banner any good? Well, I think there's definitely some good stuff here. I feel like Byleth and Ivy actually stole the show here. The 2 arcane heroes seem pretty interesting, but there's already units that do what they do. Like, if you got Baby Felix, he basically does what Tibarn does without being a fodder bank. He doesn't have the feud, though. The feud on the C skill with Tibarn is pretty relevant. And then for... what are we going to call her? Elf? Or are we going to call her Canis? Or Sarah? I still feel like she looks kind of like Sarah. But, yeah, so Canis, whatever. Her C skill with the style that does 0 damage, but then it inflicts feud is kind of good. Could be pretty good in Aetherraid's offense, too, where you can just... You can either use it to break through Foresight Snare, or after that's already happened, you can use it to inflict feud, and then the enemy armors are going to get wasted after that. Because once you've got feud on them, they're not getting any support at all. Any of your good offensive units are just going to wreck house at that point. So let's quickly head over to the Twitter. Let's take a look at the inheritances for these new passives, and we'll get out of here. Okay, so here are the inheritances. All right, so Speed and Res Unrest, we already knew the restrictions for this, but it's basically for infantry only and then ranged only. Sturdy Laguz, as you might expect, is for beast only, and then all weapon types. Dark Beast Agility, again, it's for beast only and all weapon types. Attack Res Cruxploy is for any flying type unit, pretty much. And then Demonic Force. Yeah, this is an interesting one. So this one's for all of your magic types, excluding staves. So tome units are able to get it. I guess dragons count as magic, but they don't get it, right? So not your dragons, only for tome units, essentially. And all movement types there. So actually could be pretty interesting on cavalry tomes, because they don't necessarily have the craziest access to beast skills. And this one's giving them, what, 25 true damage and 15 DR potentially, if they have a 5-hit cooldown special, like Logic, for example. So I think Demonic Force is actually going to be a really good one for the cavalry tome types. And then real quick, I just want to see, how is this Laker game going? Okay, yeah, they got blown the hell out by... What is the score there? Blown out by 18. So damn near a 20-point difference. All right, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. This is your boy Tacho signing out, and I will catch y'all again on the flip side.